Welcome to Zwartkops and Sasol Race Day. It's round 6 of the Sasol GTC Championship. Hello everybody, I'm Richard Crowe. We're set for a massive day of racing as the championship rushes to the finish line. 3 rounds in just 5 weeks. There's thumbs up at Volkswagen Motorsport, and those two, well, they're friendly at the moment, but it'll get tough on the racetrack because they're battling it out for the Sasol GTC Championship. Stephen by 8 points, Moss and Bonafede tied for second. In 4th place, it's Daniel Rowe, who has 3 wins to his credit. That's why he's going so well in the points. 2 each for the title rivals, Stephen and Bonafede. VW top the GTC 2 standings as well. Defending champion Keagan with 5 wins so far this year. Responsible for turning it all around for Volkswagen this year is that man on screen. His name is Graham Nathan.
Despite winning the past 2 seasons of GTC2, the Sasol GTC side of Volkswagen Motorsport hasn't been as successful. Mechanical setbacks and variable race results disheartened the Port Elizabeth-based operation last year to the point where things needed to change this season.
We had a huge shake-up. The only thing that didn't change was the 2 drivers, so everything else changed. We actually put both programs in one place, so the Jettas and the Golfs are now pretty much under one roof, under one set of management. Even the drivers are, the whole mood is different. We're not leading the championship in GTC, but I think if we've looked over the last few rounds, we've really come on strong.
And the change in success in 2018 has been led by Graham Nathan, a long-standing successful racer in his own right and who ran the GTC2 program after having driven in the inaugural season in 2016. And it's been this balance of experience and leadership that's helped bring the 2 programs and their 4 drivers together.
That's the beauty of being a race car driver and a mechanic at the same time and running a race shop, is that I can feel it through the seat of my pants as to what is needed to make the car be successful. Although there was mixed fortunes in the racing program last year, there was no real love for the game. We were really not passionate enough. And this year we've managed to turn it around, and the guys are loving the game again. The fun factor has come back into it. And if you don't love the motor car, you're just never going to go fast in it, and that's the bottom line.
Despite technical gremlins hindering the 57 Jetta of Matthew Hodges, his teammate Daniel Rowe has proven what the Volkswagen squad is capable of. Winning his maiden victory in April at Killarney Raceway, he's gone on to win 3 races this year, the most of any driver so far. But it hasn't been an easy road to travel for the former GTC2 champion.
He's always had the ability to do it, but motorsport is a school of exceptionally hard knocks where you can go from the top of the game in a particular category to absolutely nowhere in another category within one race. And that's unfortunately what happened to Daniel. So it was very difficult for him to accept that we had to start at the bottom again and reschool. And you know, the reality is that once you've won the first one, or once you're successful once, and you realize in your head, I can do this, then it becomes second nature.
So with an engineering restructure proving fruitful and Keagan also strong in defence of his GTC2 crown after 5 rounds, Graham praises the efforts of his entire team, with whom he credits getting the factory Volkswagen outfit back up the front.
I think at last count there were 22, 23 odd people involved in trying to get this team to be successful. I'm very fortunate. I have great drivers in my team. I don't have anybody that's not able to win, and we've been lucky. So yeah, we'll just keep pushing forward.
Blustery conditions for qualifying at Zwartkops Raceway, but as always at this tight little racetrack, it was an incredibly competitive session. Brad Liebenberg qualified 3rd. He was on the front row here the last time the series visited. The 3rd was all the man he could do. Adrian Wood was strong. He was 2nd, but there was no one that could beat his Volkswagen teammate. Keagan, the defending champion, continuing his incredible qualifying form this season. In Sasol GTC, BMW driver Gennaro Bonafede threw everything he could to split the N-Gen Audis, including that wild off at high speed. He should send Zwartkops a bill for lawn mowing after that wild moment. 3rd was the best the 32 driver could manage. And once again, it was an N-Gen Audi front row lockout. It's the 5th time this year the team have locked out the front row. Simon Ross was 2nd, Michael Stephen on pole once again. After the session, there was a bit of drama. Percy Swanepoel, who's the series chief scrutineer, had a few concerns with boosts, but they were all good. Michael Stephen locks in pole, and Philip is chatting to the movers and shakers.
Adrian Wood, second in qualifying here at Zwartkops Raceway, just a 10th behind Keagan, so a very strong performance for Volkswagen Motorsport this weekend.
Yeah, look, it's obviously great to have a Volkswagen 1-2. Keagan just got the better of me a little bit. I outbroke myself going into turn 5 while I was chasing him. I think pushing a little bit too hard to try and get ahead of him. It's nice to know that we've closed the gap up to him. Obviously, he is the benchmark in the GTC 2, so it's nice to be right behind him, and hopefully we can carry that momentum forward.
Michael Stephen, second pole position in a row and 2 1,000ths of a second separating yourself and Simon Moss, but I suppose the good news is that both of you are up the front again.
Yeah, again, a fantastic result for the team. Really close out there. Didn't quite get the lap that I thought that I could have, so a little bit surprised with the pole. But, you know, some days it goes like that and we'll take it.
Time's a little bit slower than yesterday's practice.
Yeah, I think the wind direction's changed a little bit today, so, you know, we thought it'd be a little bit quicker. But also didn't, as I said, didn't get a lap in there that I thought I could have. I think I could have gone about 0.2 quicker. But, you know, really happy yesterday. Worked a lot on the race pace and the car feels good for that. So, you know, hopefully we can convert that into a race win.
All right, well, good luck for the race, and also congratulations on 5,000 Rand. Thanks to Dunlop.
Yeah, thanks Dunlop.
Third pole of the year for Michael Stephen as he searches for title number 3. There's a great crowd here on Sasol Race Day. Everyone enjoying the festivities and the pre-race grid walk. Speaking of grid, we can go there now and hear from the Sasol BMW driver Gennaro Bonafede. He's chatting to Philippa.
Well, Richie, the top 3 in the championship, filling the top 3 positions on the grid. Gennaro Bonafede qualified third. You would have much have preferred that front row start.
Yeah, look, Sasol Race Day, the biggest race of the year for our team and for the Sasol BMW team. But yeah, third is third. We're behind the Audis again. 0.1, I think less than 0.1 between us 3, which is really, really close. So I think race 1 is going to be tight. I think we're going to have to race hard. It's not going to be easy, but I think we've got good race pace.
Definitely lots of crowds here today, which is great to see. But those clouds are not looking so good.
Yeah, look, Sasol always do a great activation and a great promotion around this race day. And yeah, the clouds are looking ominous, but adds excitement to the racing.
All right, good luck into turn 1.
Thanks, guys.
He'll need it. Turn 1's busy here at Zwartkops Raceway. Great crowd in the house. It's busy on the grid too. Drivers are focused and ready to go. Here's Michael Stephen. I think the battery's flat, he said. So they're going to try and push start car number 1. This is a serious issue for the defending champion and the man on pole here at Zwartkops. They need to get this car fired up. If it does not, there's emergency there too. If it doesn't fire up, he'll need to start from pit lane. Engine Audi team going to work. Does it fire? Yes, it does. Well, that's a massive relief. Big drama potentially for Michael Stephen. Here's Tony Taylor. He's the clerk of the course, just sticking his head in to make sure the car's all right. Mike says, yes, we'll push the car back and get ready for the rolling start. Wow, that was close. Here's the scene. It's round 6 of the championship. Zwartkops is 2.4 Ks, 8 turns. Not many corners, but a lot of challenge in that. Some rise and fall, and a lot of runoff areas that can catch people out. And we've seen cars off the road in the past. So it's an engine Audi lockout on the front row. Bonafede and Walk, the Sasol BMWs, go from row 2. Johan Faries alongside Daniel Rowe on row 3. And it's Michael Van Rooyen and Matt Hodges in the Volkswagen from row 4. Keagan Masters on pole again in GTC 2 with Adrian Wood alongside Brad Liebenberg and Devon Robertson next in the Signature Minis. Charles Smallberger alongside Dane Angel, who qualifies well again in the Honda. Trevor Bland, Johan Pretorius, Paul Hill and Bob Neal round out the GTC 2 field. So a critical stanza in the championship starts here at Zwartkops. A quick turnaround to Kyalami after this means the pressure is really on. So every single point from here matters more than any other point they've gained over the course of the season so far. And for the Sasol BMW team on Sasol Race Day, it's an N-Gen Audi lockout on the front row. Race 1, Zwartkops take 2. The second time this year, we're away. That rush down the hill into the challenging first corner as Michael Stephen sweep across in front of Simon Moss. Covers his line, as you would in the braking zone, to turn 2, the right-hander. It's a slow corner. It's a great overtaking opportunity. Johan Faries looking to work his way forward in GTC 2. Keagan Masters takes an early lead, but his teammate is fighting for it around the outside of the sweeper. the run uphill now into this heavy braking zone. Another great couple of overtaking opportunities await. There are the two Volkswagens wheel to wheel, the two signature minis doing the same for Roto Car up the inside of Champion. So Liebenberg and Robinson fighting, and it's Devon Robinson who looks like he's got the ascendancy at the moment. Michael Stephen leads, Simon Moss slots in behind. Then it's the two BMWs. Good start, Daniel Rowe. Unbelievable that he's the most winning driver of the season so far. You saw the graphic before the start of the race. All of his victories have come in the reverse grid races, the second race of each weekend this year. Bonafede on board, turn one, fourth gear. Properly quick, just a lift as they get the car in, then on the throttle mid-corner nice and early. Interested to see how they've set this car up, whether set your tyre pressures low and let it build as the race goes on, or whether you set them high and make the car good early. At the moment, it looks like the two Terry Moss Racing Audis are good early because they're pulling a margin. Gap back from Bonafede is to his teammate, Robert Walk. Had a challenging year, has Robert, but front-running pace at times this season in the second of the Sasol BMWs. Ran out of the VM Innovations stable. Vic Maharaj calling the shots there in that great race team. Walk with a big slide. Be watching that exit curb, that double right-hander that brings the cars back around to the start of the lap. Everyone using a lot of road there, creates a bit of a rut behind the curb. It can drag cars off and catch them out. It's also a key overtaking opportunity up the inside, late under brakes, but if you go too late, you end off in the gravel. It's an action zone here at Zwartkops Raceway. Terrific little circuit. We've been here once already. Michael Stephen was on pole in round 3 of the championship earlier this year. He won race 1. And that incredible victory for Daniel Rowe, the second of his season in the reverse grid race. Teammates going at it. Moss feels like he needs to defend. This is going to give Moss a great run out. Stephen was defending. Moss with the great run. Now Michael defends again. The braking zone uphill. And Simon Moss will go the long way round. Difficult to pull a move off there, especially when you run it wide. That's going to cost him big time because Gennaro Bonafede goes through. The BMW second. A critical error from Simon Moss. And this is how he saw it. So it looked like he just grabbed the rear brakes perhaps in the initial application as he got the car slowed down, just understeered wide. And the man from Joburg needed no invitation whatsoever to go through and grab second place. Critical move for Bonafede as he attempts to keep Michael Stephen in sight in this year's Sasol GTC Championship. Short start, finish straight. That quick turn one. That's the lead, margin, 1 to 2. And now Simon Moss dropping back into the clutches of Robert Walk in the Sasol BMW. Round 3, Robbie had a 4th and a 5th position here at Zwartkops Raceway. Looking to improve on that this time out. Back to the GTC 2 battle. It's a 5-car freight train for the lead at the moment. 2 Volkswagens leading Devon Robinson's Mini. There's Brad Liebenberg, his teammate, who qualified on the front row here when we visited in round 3. Let's jump on board with Devon and ride the Champion Mini. As fast as he always is, a winner in the last 2 rounds of the championship. Won race 1 at Port Elizabeth. Before that, he won at East London. That was his first victory in GTC 2. Took him a little while at the start of the season to come to grips with this increased level of competition. Graduate from the VW Polo Cup. He's really come to terms with the Champion Mini as this season's gone on. And it's been great work from Signature Motorsport this year, continually applying the pressure to the factory Volkswagen team. It's turned into a great arm wrestle, and it's just a matter of whoever's on their day is the one that does the winning. At the moment, it's the Volkswagen team on. They're 1 and 2 with Adrian Wood, the Kia Serra car next. Robert Walk slowing, gets gobbled up by Daniel Rowe. That's not just an overtake, that's an issue for the Sasol BMW. Well, that's a real shame for Robbie, who was running 4th and running strong early in this one. But wrapped up very, very quickly. The car had no straight line performance whatsoever. These cars running push to pass. It was introduced earlier in the season. Have a number of opportunities throughout the race to hit a button, get some extra horsepower, but that was more than just push to pass. Robert Walt getting gobbled up the back straight here at Zwartkops. Bonafede might be looking to use that to defend his line, because he's now got Simon Moss right behind him on the comeback trail after making a critical error. He now needs to redeem himself for that as he goes after the Sasol BMW. It's been an interesting year for Gennaro Bonafede. Started so well, the opening round of the championship at Kyalami. Pole position, race 1 victory. Been up and down a little bit since then, but he's second in the championship, continuing to apply the pressure to the defending champion down in front. It's a shame for Dane Angel. The Autohouse Angel car heads to pit lane. They've been engineering that car towards the front of the field as the season goes on. GTC 2 often a battle of taking weight out of those production-based race cars as much as it is engineering speed into it. I know they're coming up to grips with the car and getting better and better in every round. Fights for second. We're halfway through race 1. And at the moment, it's just settled down. We've seen that this season where racers go through phases. Aggressive on the opening laps, and everyone just settles down, minds their P's and Q's for a couple of laps, and then saves what they've got underneath them in terms of tyre and car condition for a race to the flag. And then we get to race 2, throw all the balls in the air and see where they land, because the reverse grid races have been extraordinary this season. Robert Walt limps his way back to pit lane. His day looks like it is over, and in fact he'll go right to the back of the paddock already. So a DNF for Robbie, that's a shame. His day is over and done. Right, here's a battle a little bit further back. Daniel Rowe finds himself under pressure from the big man from Cape Town as Michael Van Rooyen drops the Rustenburg rocket off the road, and Matt Hodges in sympathy follows him off. Here's a fight. Down the inside goes Johan Faree. Good pass. Speaking of challenging seasons, it's been one of those. He's had a race win to his credit, but a few wins have gone begging. Of course, Kyalami at the start of the year it all teed off, and that massive crash with Michael Stephen down at turn 2. So Daniel Rowe, a little bit of oversteer. Just opened the door for Johan Faree to go up the inside. Get that car stopped and turned nicely. So that's a good pass. Johan moves himself up the road to 4th place. Daniel Rowe back to 5th. We're back on board with Simon Moss. No hesitation as they turn into turn 1. Fast corner. It's valuable too, because if you get the exit wrong, you open yourself up to overtaking up here at turn 2. And then if you get turn 2 wrong, it'll hurt you run all the way through the sweeper and then up into that braking zone at the top of the hill that we've been talking about. So that's the margin. Leaders are pulled away from this group. Daniel Rowe's got a great run through that sweeper. He got an opportunity to get a pass, to take that position back. A little bit of contact perhaps. Faree with a big slide as he moves the car across the road. But Daniel Rowe goes past and retakes 4th place. Good battle. Now Faree back down the inside. Terrific pass, but it's too much. Locked the rear brakes and off all on his own. Well, there was a tiny little bit of contact, you feel, further down through the sweeper. And Johan was fired up to get back down the inside. He's got the car fired up and will drive out of the gravel trap. Not every day you can do that, so probably consider himself lucky that he'll be able to at least get that car home to the finish of the race. But that's a massive shame for the EPS Couriers car. Here's a look. Let's have a listen. Oh, yeah. He was sliding. He was sliding pretty early. He came from a long way back, Johan Faree. Heads up driving for Daniel Rowe. Saw him coming and just opened the steering as he got the car turned in, so wasn't too much of a drama and no contact. Oh, and Matt Hodges. Well, we've been talking about unlucky drivers, and luck is a thing in motorsport. The team there just telling him to stop the car in front of them. Perhaps they can diagnose the issue, but he just limped to a halt with no visible signs of drama in that car. 5th in the championship last year, a couple of second places and some top 3 finishes for Matt Hodges this year has been a real challenge though. As Devon Robertson gets into Adrian Wood, the Kia Serra car cops a knock in the passenger door for his efforts. That's the fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
started making a noise and then put the clutch in.
So Matt was just saying it makes a noise, he puts the clutch in, and I think he was saying it dies there, so that's a shame for Matt. Oh, big move. Again, Moss tries the outside line at that corner. Didn't work for him once, it didn't work for him again. Bonafede holds on to his position, but this is now a proper fight for second. And that's what we were talking about, just conserved for a couple of laps, held his position, looked after his controlled Dunlop slip tyre, and now he's starting to attack. He wants to make it a 1-2 for the Engine Audi team. It's been a good year for Simon Moss. Hasn't been a good year for Matt Hodges. The lights have been turned off inside car 57, and he's jumping out. His string of bad luck continues. Don't let anyone tell you there's not luck involved in this game, because there really is. Matt Hodges will be the first to tell you that there's bad as well as good. Right, Adrian Wood, Devon Robertson, the fight on for the minors in GTC 2. You can see Keagan Masters pulling away out in front, looking to build his championship lead. Good run through the corner, a lot of curb on the inside. And these cars now running a slick tyre for the first time this year have got so much more traction and grip than they had last season. They don't slide as round as much. You can see how much they can commit going into a corner, lifting the inside tyre, the unloaded side of the car off the ground when they turn the car in. They've got so much grip. But right now it's a Volkswagen wall for Devon Robertson. He's unable to find his way past. Two-time winner this year. Adrian Wood still looking to break through for a maiden victory. Had a podium at East London and was fourth in race 2 at Port Elizabeth last time out. So the results are starting to flow much in the same way that they have in this middle portion of the season for Devon Robertson. As Adrian Wood gets up to speed in these cars, he's getting faster and faster. I'm sure he's going to be a contender before this year is out. We already know this guy's a contender. Keagan Masters out in front, managing his margin. He's the only driver this year to win both races in a round of GTC 2. Go right back to when we travelled down south to Cape Town and Killarney Raceway. He won both races. No one has done it since. 2 winners at every round since then. Funnily enough, Keagan Masters has been a winner at almost all of the rounds, though Port Elizabeth was definitely mini territory, with Devon Robertson winning race 1 and Brad Liebenberg winning race 2. Volkswagens have got it all locked up at the top. 2 laps to go. This fight for GTC 2. The opening race as we rush to the checkered flag. The Sasol GTC Championship this year. Michael Stephen 1, Gennaro Bonafede 2, Simon Moss 3. They're starting their final lap. Now they're just going to get to the back of the GTC 2 field at the end of this lap. So Michael Stephen will want to be careful. He'll need to use all of that experience that winning 13 national titles gives you in negotiating his way through the traffic. Because the last thing he needs is to hesitate, because if he hesitates, Bonafede will be the first one to send a speculative move up the inside if the door is even slightly opened. Nicely dealt with by Michael Stephen. He goes through. Final few corners now. Looking to grab another victory, the defending champion. 2 poles and 2 race wins already this year. Crucially, he's been on the podium in a majority of the races. 8 of the 10 we've had so far. That's how you win championships. That's why Michael Stephen's won so many. He's about to add another victory to his credit. Michael Stephen edges out his championship rivals in race 1 at Zwartkops. It's a big win for the Engine Audi driver. And now to GTC 2. Keagan Masters just extending that margin, if anything, over his 2 teammates. Well, his teammate, indeed, who's second, and then the signature mini of Devon Robertson, who's third. Just makes it look so easy. He's so smooth and controlled behind the wheel. Nothing is rushed, nothing is hurried. It all looks like he's completely under control at all times, Keagan Masters. That's the gap back. Gee, it was pretty close there, and Adrian Wood actually ran wide. Going into the right-hander, and might have opened the door just a little bit to Devon Robertson. He'll hold on to that position. I think he will. Yep, he's okay. It'll be a 1-2 for the Volkswagen team. Adrian Wood will get his best ever finish in GTC 2. There's no stopping Keagan Masters. It's another win for the championship leader. Championship day, it's important to keep winning races this late in the season and accumulating his Keagan Masters. So the champions have done the business in race 1 today. Michael Stephen wins Sasol GTC over Gennaro Bonafede, and Simon Moss a solid 4th to Michael Van Rooyen. He edged out Daniel Rowe. Johan Ferrari limped home to 6th place after that spin early on. The champ did it in GTC2 as well. It was Masters over Wood and Robertson, with Charles Smallberger and Brad Liebenberg completing the top 5. Here's Philippa.
Michael Stephen, another race win, all important for the championship hunt now with only 4 rounds to go. Talk us what happened on the start.
Yeah, lady luck's on my side today. We had an issue in qualifying. After my qualifying lap, we had a grid walk and car wouldn't start. So luckily we were able to push start it and get going to the race. So, but yeah, you know, from there it was pretty plain sailing. Managed to get a bit of a gap in the beginning. Simon used push to pass quite early, and I sort of retaliated with a push to pass up to turn 5. He ran wide and gave me a bit of a gap, so I pulled the lead, and then yeah, towards the end, just, you know, coming through the traffic, took it easy, rather safe than sorry, and yeah, just saved the tyres for race 2.
There's not that much of a points gap between the top 3 of you, and the top 3 of you in the championship finished the top 3 in that race. How are you going to attack race 2 for the reverse grid?
Yeah, I think, you know, at this point in the championship, it's just take race by race. I think it's important just to collect those points, you know. A DNF, you know, you lose a lot of points, whereas, you know, good results, sometimes a little bit conservative, you know, you gain a lot more than what you could possibly lose. So reverse grid race haven't been going so well lately, and we had to change that today.
Gennaro Bonafede, second in the first race. Well, that was 1 position better than where you started from.
Yeah, look, I'm happy with that second. A meet in the Audi sandwich, so it was tough. They were really quick in the beginning. We had a bit of a handling issue the first few laps. Had a lot of understeer through the slow stuff, so they absolutely killed me there. But then I think Simon went to pass Michael, made a bit of a mistake, and then I had to hold off Simon for a few laps, which is never easy.
You had a really good battle with Simon. How did you balance that with your ability to use push to pass as well in these races?
Yeah, exactly. You know, we had a lot of traction out of the slow corners, so out of turn 2 up to turn 4 we were strong. So a balance of push to pass has really helped us, and then towards the end we started to catch Michael as well. So a tough race, but happy with the second.
Congratulations, Keagan Masters, another race victory in GTC2. It's really good to see both you and Adrian so strong this weekend.
Adrian was very quick in that race. I mean, the first 2-3 laps he was on my bum. I was actually getting a little bit nervous. Like, I thought I should just let him through because he's faster than me. Luckily, the tyres came in and I got to pull a little bit of a gap. But next race, I'm going to be in trouble.
So it's the championship leaders on top in both GTC2 and Sasol GTC. What will the reverse grid race brings? It's always pretty crazy, and it's coming your way next.
The festival is huge, and it's grown into a very interactive show here at Kyalami. It will be the 3rd event at Kyalami in 2018. And the event's grown. First year we had 46,000 people, last year over 56,000. And this year we're looking for 65,000 people coming to the show. GTC is the top category in South African motorsport, so the synergy is a natural synergy. And for us it's huge to have GTC at the show, and I think it's also good for GTC. It's exposing the Sasol GTC Championship to a whole different audience, and I think that's what motorsport needs in South Africa. So for us, it's great, and we're very excited.
Not the only one. Cannot wait for that massive event. It's going to be a key round in the championship. But before we get to Kyalami, we've got a reverse grid race here at Zwartkops. Robert Walk had an oil pressure drama and an oil leak in race 1. That's why he was a non-finisher. So he's got some work to do in this. That's a view from Paul Hill. He'll start on the front row in GTC2 for the first time in his career as we flip the grids and do it reverse. At Zwartkops Raceway, 12 laps will be the distance, and just about anything could happen on this one. So the grid, Johan Ferrari is on pole, Daniel Rowe alongside. Remember their comings together in race 1. Michael Van Rooyen and Simon Moss next. Bonafede, Stephen and Robert Walk from the back of the grid, thanks to that DNF early on. Terry Moss up in the spotters stand, trying to stay out of the breeze that's blowing here at Zwartkops Raceway. Dane Angel and Paul Hill on the front row in GTC2. Bob Neal and Trevor Bland next. Watch for TB to make some moves. Brad Liebenberg and Charles Smallberger a little bit further back than they'd like to be. And of course, Adrian Wood and Keagan Masters go from the very back of the field in GTC2. But Keagan Masters has won these races from the back before. Having said that, so's Michael Stephen. So here we go, race 2. It's Johan Ferré in the EPS BMW who leads the field down into turn 1. Daniel Rowe alongside. A little bit of a bump there. Dane Angel and Paul Hill banging wheels as they go through turn 1. They're side by side, and there's a Mini just trying to get up the inside, and around goes Brad Liebenberg. Nice move. There's the Sasol BMWs bringing up the rear of the Sasol GTC train. It's Johan Ferré who leads them up the hill for the first time. Daniel Rowe is next. Car 89, he's just slotted in behind Michael Van Rooyen, so good start for the Rustenburg Rocket. Yet to win a race in Sasol GTC. Bonafede, perhaps the slightest of little bit of touches there with Simon Moss. They try and sort themselves out. Into the braking zone. Cold Dunlop tyres. Everyone working it out. Bonafede with the elbows out. Gets up the inside of Simon Moss. But he's got to deal with the champ as well, because Michael Stephen was right on the inside of him. But Simon Moss is going to grab that spot and hold on to it. Michael's out in the dirt. Robert Walk's trying to go down the inside. This is what we've come to expect from reverse grid GTC racing. And breathe, deep breath, end of lap 1, 11 to go. They're single file now for the first time in 2.4 Ks. Simon Moss just can't keep the thing on the racetrack at the moment. Off at turn 1, loses some time, and there was an attempted pass for second place. Daniel Rowe was trying to make a move on Michael Van Rooyen, but couldn't pull it off. That's the gap back to the GTC 2 cars. Enormous lead. Bradley Liebenberg driving away. He's got some support because Devon Robertson is up to second place. Volkswagen running in third place. Keagan Masters is already up to fourth. It's ridiculous how quickly he cuts his way through. He's got Trevor Bland next on his list. It might be up into the braking zone where he gets himself onto the podium. Yep, there he goes. Like we said in race 1, it just makes it look easy. But there's an enormous lead for car number 12, disappearing off into the distance. You feel for Bradley Liebenberg, he needs to make hay while the sun is shining, and indeed the wind blowing here at Zwartkops. Try and build that margin as much as he can to try and get back into the winner's circle, the top of the podium. Remember, a winner last time out at Port Elizabeth in the reverse grid race. Won at Zwartkops in race 1 earlier this year, and then won the reverse grid race at Kyalami at the start of the season. So he's got priors in these reverse grid races too, Bradley Liebenberg. What's going on out in front? Sasol GTC. It's a decent margin for Johan Ferré. Michael Van Rooyen trying to go with him. But that EPS Couriers car is disappearing up the road. Really good start. And great cold tyre pace for the EPS car. Johan getting the most out of it early on. This is a freight train now. Daniel Rowe keeping a group of cars behind him, including Gennaro Bonafede, whose sole mission in life in this must be to finish in front of his 2 championship rivals, in particular Michael Stephen. He needs to beat him. He needs to keep applying the pressure to the defending champion. There's so much racing to go. It seems crazy to be talking about championships, but this is such a critical stage of the season. It's where you can make or break your year. Down the inside, Trevor Bland, the over-under for Adrian Wood. The Kia Sierra car going to pull this off? I think he is. Charles Smallberger wants to get into the mix as well. There's the leading trio. Watch for the next group to come through, because it's quite the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th place. Trevor Bland defends, covers his line, and at the same time looks up the inside. A little bit of contact with Adrian Wood. I say little, it was actually a lot. He did a really good job of driving out of it. Big hit. The beauty of a front-wheel drive car is if you have the rear unloaded on you in that scenario, or have oversteer where the rear wants to overtake the front, you just apply the throttle and the car will drag you straight. That's exactly what he did. Good driving. So Bonafede now still feeling the heat. This is a replay moments ago. Was defending from Simon Moss. He went down the inside, but again went a little bit too deep, and the over-under worked a treat there for Gennaro, and Michael Stephen was able to get by his teammate as well. So it's been a mistake-free season for Simon Moss this year, but just a couple creeping into it this race. Just needs to get his head down. They'll be on the radio to him, talking to him. The team just coaching him through. Eyes forward, Simon, keep pushing on. Keep trying to attack for position. Just keep the car on the bitumen. Now Keags looks down the inside of Devon Robertson. He had half a nose down there, a little bit of contact, and to be honest, probably smart driving from the defending champion. Would have suggested if he'd forced his way through there, if he'd used the elbows and tackled his way past, race control would not have looked kindly on that. So smart driving for Keagan Masters. Knew he was probably a little bit too late under brakes and to the apex of the corner. Wasn't going to make it a clean move, so decided to back out of it. Now, if anything, Michael Van Rooyen has caught Johan Ferree. He's dragging himself to the back of the EPS Courier's car in a fight for the race lead between the two BMWs. Up the hill they go. Is he close enough this lap? He's not, but gee, he's good under brakes. 2 car lengths disappeared. They became nothing. And car 95 now locked underneath the rear wing of our race leader. It's been a challenging year for Michael Van Rooyen. A couple of times on the podium for the first time in his career, but yet to get that race win that he's been so desperate for. But the reliability's been there in the Rustenburg Rocket. So Keagan tried inside last time. Now he's tried the long way round. The right-hander couldn't get it done that time. Devon Robertson is doing his teammate a massive solid here by holding out the defending champion. Car 12's not exactly pulling away, and if anything, these two are catching the race leader. Now under brakes. What's Charles Smallberger got to offer? The privateer runner. A challenging year for Charles. Didn't start in spectacular fashion. Round 2 at Kyalami. Ended up off at high speed at turn 6. He's bounced back with a couple of solid finishes last time. In fact, the podium finish at this racetrack in race 1. Last time we visited this racetrack, and at Port Elizabeth in race 1, Charles was 3rd. So he's been getting a couple of podium finishes, a few trophies to his name. So leaders pulling away, they've got a fight on their own. Then it's Daniel Rowe back in 3rd place, covering off from Gennaro Bonafede. There's a feeling about this as we enter the second half of the race that if these two really start warring, if they really start carving each other up, they're going to drop into the clutches of Daniel Rowe, and it'll be more a freight train of 5 or 6 cars for the lead rather than these two. So Van Rooyen just needs to measure this as best he can. Hold on to the race lead for Johan Ferree. Down the inside goes MVR, shows the nose. Wasn't close enough. Gee, he had a really good look at it. He's got great car speed at the moment. This car's come alive in the middle of the race. So maybe playing with the Dunlop tyre pressures, just setting them a little bit higher. And Johan is sliding around. He's struggling to get this car stopped and turned at the moment. You can see the oversteer out of the corner, so he's struggling for traction. Van Rooyen looks like he's got it in spades. There's a feeling of inevitability that the Rustenburg Rocket might find himself in the lead at some point soon. Wow, off the road, Daniel Rowe, that's a critical moment. Has Bonafede got enough momentum to go through it? Turn 1. Don't think so. Big slideways moment on the exit of the final corner. Now, finally, Keagan Masters down the inside. Can he execute the stop? It was braking so hard you could see the brake rotor glowing as he slowed the car to one of the slowest points of the racetrack. Gets a nudge and a push for his efforts from Devon Robertson. Check this out, on board car 18. Just got it stopped. Used a lot of curb. And then got a hit for his trouble. So just under brakes into the second of the 2 right-handers, Devon Robertson just went crunch. Here it is from the Champion Mini from Signature Motorsport. Let's have a listen. Whack. Another touch. And there's another one. So a little bit of contact, a little bit of mini plastered to the back of the Volkswagen Golf GTI in front. But the net result is some debris flies off car 20. That's interesting. Race control will have a look at that. I don't think it's anything particularly solid, so it shouldn't affect anyone else's races. So finally, the defending champ is through. Robertson drops a spot, and Liebenberg will be watching his mirrors. Now Van Rooyen for the race lead, and off. Oh, he tried so hard. The Rustenburg Rocket ends up in the gravel. And the car started sliding there. The rear brakes locked, he lost control. Johan Ferrari holds on to the lead. Van Rooyen deposited in the kitty litter. Well, he led the race. He led it for about 5 metres, but he led nonetheless. Never die wondering with Michael Van Rooyen. He tried. Johan Ferrari will live to fight another day. And now it's Daniel Rowe, who has done a Michael Stephen in the reverse grid races this year. He's won more of them than anyone else. And that's the EBS Couriers team watching on. The headset just ajar. Not much he can tell his driver now. Just fight, Johan. Fight as hard as you can. There's some feisty contenders coming. So the driver with 3 race wins is next. The guy second in the championship in the BMW just behind. And then the championship leader in car number 1 coming at them as well. There's a whole lot of variables about to be thrown at Johan Ferrari, who's got 1 win to his credit this season. Came at the East London circuit just 2 rounds ago. Van Rooyen will continue on, but there's a lot of muck and rubbish on his tyres after that trip out into the undergrowth. Need to spend some time cleaning them off and just get some points. Remember, he can still be considered a championship challenger. Good points haul so far. Everyone's still in the game. And the leading trio have closed up now. That was the view from Bonafede. This is the view from outside, and it's certainly closer. We heard about Graham Nathan earlier on and what he's done for the Volkswagen team this year. We should mention Matt Hodges, unfortunately unable to take the start in this race. Mechanical dramas experienced in race 1. You saw him pull to the side. Have meant they were a late withdrawal for the start of race 2. So he's spectating, probably cheering his teammate on to try and get another victory. Liebenberg leads GTC 2, but Keagan Masters is catching him. The last lap or 2, the defending champion has been quicker. He's got better lap speed. Liebenberg just needs to have eyes forward now and try and maintain that margin if he can. Because if Keagan even gets a sniff, he'd love to do the double for the 2nd time this year. Just a breath in this frenetic race for Keagan Masters, hunting minis, the lead in GTC 2. They're cheering Johan Ferrari on from pit wall. There's really not much between this top 4 now though. There's 2 laps remaining. Can the man from Cape Town hold on and get another victory? Will it be Daniel Rowe's day? Or will Gennaro Bonafede get an all too critical race victory and ignite his championship fight in the run to the line in this series? He won at East London in race 1. He won the opening race of the year, but he needs a win now, Gennaro, to close the margin to Michael Stephen. Here's the view from Johan Ferrari. So like Stephen in race 1, he needs to be smart in dealing with the GTC 2 traffic. He'll get down the inside of Paul Hill. Dane Angel is next. That's 1 done. Will Angel slow him up? He's got a lap and a quarter to go. With the slick tyre this year, the GTC 2 cars aren't that much slower through the corners than the Sasol GTC races. There's definitely been a reduction in the margin 1st to 2nd. Daniel Rowe has got to the back of Johan Ferrari. There's 2.4 kilometres to go. It's a fight for the win in the reverse grid race in round 6 of the championship. Daniel Rowe's already a winner this year. He goes, but there's contact. Ferrari's off the road, Daniel Rowe's off the road. Bonafede will cruise through. Gennaro Bonafede's going to lead. Well, it was half a move. I don't know if it was on. I'm not sure if it was close enough. Let's analyse this. So Ferrari wasn't really covering his line. He was driving in the middle of the racetrack, sort of half protecting. Daniel Rowe was very, very late under brakes. Perhaps felt like there was an opportunity down the inside. And then crunch. And the damage and the force of that impact enough to send them both off the road. And the BMW and Audi teams say, thank you very much. That's at real speed. Great bit of car control from Johan Ferrari to not end up spinning and holding on to it. But Gennaro Bonafede's been gifted this one. It's a Christmas present for the guy second in the championship. He's got a few corners to deal with Michael Stephen, a couple of GTC 2 cars who are having their own fight. Charles Smallberger is one of them. Bonafede gets through. Trevor Bland is another. And Bonafede will get through. TB does the right thing and takes the wide line. And that's just the margin he needed. Michael Stevens run out of room. They're dodging debris. They're battle scarred. But it's been a great day for Sasol BMW. Gennaro Bonafede's back in victory lane. He wins race 2 at Zwartkops and ignites his championship challenge. And these two old rivals once again finish 1-2 in a Sasol GTC race. We'll come back and analyse that because there's still a fight to decide GTC 2 as well. And Keagan Masters has all but caught Bradley Liebenberg. These two go at it. They've got just a few corners to go. Up into the debris field up here where it's all been teeing off all race. Liebenberg defends. Masters will have to go the long way round. He hasn't been able to pull this move off all race. Now he might. Great racing room given by Liebenberg. Masters commits on the outside. Bradley sliding. Masters through. No, he's not yet. Bradley's holding on. Great driving for the Signature Mini. But what about a dive into the final corner? Keagan Masters, you're a genius. He's come from nowhere from the back of the field and wins GTC 2. The champion is unstoppable. And that's one of his best ever drives. And Brad Liebenberg was robbed at the end. This is Michael Van Rooyen, all on his own, undoubtedly with some damage to the 95 Rustenburg rocket after his attempt at the race lead earlier on. Wow. Time for a nap after that. That was crazy. Bonafede wins. Stephen and Moss next. Then it's Johan Ferré, Robert Wald, Daniel Rowe 6 in the end, with Van Rooyen limping home to 7th. Keagan Masters steals the victory in GTC 2. The Signature Minis in 2nd and 3rd. Adrian Wood 4th and Trevor Bland rounding out the top 5. Celebrations for Gennaro Bonafede. The man from Johannesburg needed to win, and when the door was open, he walked through. That's an enormous result for the Sasol BMW team on Sasol Race Day here at Zwartkops Raceway. Victoria will celebrate tonight. Family and friends celebrating in victory lane for Gennaro Bonafede. Michael Stevens got a grin on his face because I'm not sure he even expected to be on the podium in that one, but the seas parted, and as always the great champion was there to work his way through. But I wonder, the bigger story might be this. Johan Ferré is absolutely furious. A race win went begging, and he was 2 kilometres away from bringing it home. And discussions down at Volkswagen Motorsport because they felt like they might have grabbed a victory as well. That's the universal language of motor racing. Hand signals and disappointment at the end of that race for Johan Ferré. Wow, what a day. Michael Stephen, narrow championship lead over Gennaro Bonafede, Simon Moss still in the mix, and even Rowe and Van Rooyen have to still be considered contenders.
Gennaro Bonafede, I don't think I've ever seen a more hectic last lap of a race that we've had this year. Well done, though, on the win.
Yeah, thank you. Really, really stoked with that win. I mean, look, it was fortunate, but you know what? At the end of the day, there's no comments column on the race results. We took a good win in race 2, a second in race 1, so it's exactly what we needed on Sasol Race Day, and for our championship, it puts us back in the hunt.
Absolutely, it's so tight. We've only got 3 more rounds left to go, and the Festival of Motoring at Kailami is going to be a big weekend for us.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think myself and Michael are now basically, even Stephen's still where we started on the weekend. But Kailami, we love it. We've been there before. We've won there plenty before. So Festival of Motoring is going to be insane. You know, to race in front of 20,000 people a day, it's going to be incredible. So we're really looking forward to it. The car's in one piece. We can do some testing, and we can hopefully go and win at Kailami.
It's going to be a good fight. Well done.
Thank you.
GTC 2 championship battle has Keagan Masters extending his margin, but those two minis are locked together. Liebenberg and Robertson tied on 235 points each. Let's hear from Brad Liebenberg after a close run, 2nd place.
Brad Liebenberg, 2nd in race 2. You had a flyer on that first lap to get to the lead. Great battle out there with Keagan as well.
Yeah, it was a pretty awesome start. I mean, I think there was a little bit of a tangle up between
I think it was Dane Angel and one of the other Golfs, and they ran a little bit wide, and I seized that opportunity, got into first into turn 2, and then just try to put my head down and go, and I managed to pull quite a big gap. Keagan did catch up in the end, but you know, us two minis have to go hunting again like we did in PE, but hopefully we can close that gap in the last 3 rounds.
Well, let's hope you have the same winning luck that you had at Kyalami earlier in the year. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Good, thank you.
It's going to be a massive round. We cannot wait to get to Kyalami, August 31 to Sunday, September 2. iTickets SA is the place where you can buy your tickets. After an incredible weekend at Zwartkops, it's so long. We'll see you at the Festival of Motoring.